morning, friends from Belfast. This morning we are walking over to a place called Tesco. It is like a grocery store. It's like a Walmart, I guess. That's what we've been told. So that's what we're gonna be doing this morning. Oh yeah, and the door's open this way. That way to go to the rooms, this way to come out. Hotel Belfast. Oh, was she? That's so typical, texting and driving. People do it all the time. Everywhere. It's nothing new. Even here. Oh, a duty. Watch out for the dog, duty. We are walking kind of like on a freeway exit, which is just was.
Germany, right? Almost slipped on and hit the floor.
No.
It was a big dog.
Oh no. That would be Ray. Typical Ray. Oh gosh. So yeah, we are walking. Like I said, it's kind of like on this freeway exit because the freeway is just beyond those trees right there. And this is like a huge exit thoroughfare. Don't know where we're at. We're just walking to this place called Tesco. And it was about a 20-minute walk from our hotel. I think we're only like 5 minutes in. So, walking, and walking.
Walking.
Oh my. So this is a gated like place, gated store. I wonder what that means. Like, why is it gated? It's weird. So they got Poundland, Amazing Value Everyday, Pepco, Costa, and Tesco is right there. We got a Tesco gas station as well. Sorry for the wind, can't help that. Tesco. Oh, look at those cute little things. £7 for a little caterpillar cake. Look how cute. And this one's a little caterpillar cake girl. That's cute. So these are the prices of things. And cupcakes. Ooh, Brian found some fresh donuts.
Soft and sweet. They're sugar donuts.
£1, 10 pence.
That's cheap.
Yeah. I found their gluten-free section, and they have like white sourdough gluten-free bread. That looks just so nice. I told Brian I would bring it home, but I don't think you can bring food home. Pancakes, bread, same stuff we have at home. Oh, cereal. Ah, this is like all kind of gluten-free stuff. Nice. I could eat all those and those. Yummy. Well, they don't do Halloween here because I don't see any Halloween stuff. They just go straight to Christmas?
Yeah, no Halloween.
Oh, no Halloween.
Oh, snowballs?
Are those snowballs? Those don't look like the right kind. Those look like chocolate.
No, they got the coins though.
Mm-hmm. And the toffee. Oh, and the orangey stuff.
The orange, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they. Oh my goodness, he's so cute! Hi, buddy! Oh, hello! Hello! Oh, he's so pretty. I know. He's a pretty color. I love his eyes.
What's his name?
All right, so I just want to show you guys what we did pick up from the store. We got some cheeses. That way I can kind of keep these with me and munch on them. Got some pineapple. Got some Skinny Whip. I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's got chocolate and orange, which I absolutely like. And it's high in fiber. I got some Butter Kissed Crunchy Toffee Popcorn. I wanted to give that a try. Brian got some donuts. And then I got some bananas. So that is what we picked up at Tesco today. This is the view from our room. That is like a cinema place where you can go see movies. It looks ginormous, and there's like a big dome. I don't know what that dome is. Don't know anything about that. And then right over there is the Titanic like museum, and then I think we're walking back over there to go to some distillery that's over there, Titanic Distillery, but we have to walk all the way over there again from our hotel. I think what they should do is have a taxi service, and it should be shaped in the size of the shape like the Titanic, like a smaller boat, but look like the Titanic. I think it'd be cute. A little shuttle to take you from like here to the hotel over to the Titanic place and then back. That's what I think. I'm gonna put in my suggestions. So we are all heading out again. We are all meeting downstairs and we're all going to this Titanic Distillery. So like I said a few minutes ago, we have to walk all the way around. There is like no direct walk from here to the Titanic area, which is perfectly fine. Like, we're just doing a lot of walking. Walking, and more walking. And which elevator is it? Right here. Going. And it's always 0. It's never 1, which is going down. Lift going down. And then we go out this way. So we are at the Titanic Distillery and it just opened up in April, so it's pretty new. Blood, sweat, and years. And this is actually the location of where they actually built the Titanic too. So very, very cool. Hi, yeah, I'm Angie.
Angie, nice
yes.
to meet you, Johnny.
Thank you. And my husband.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. He's just hiding over there in the corner.
Johnny, nice to meet you, Brian. How are you getting on, folks?
Good.
All well?
Good. Yeah.
Where are you visiting from? A variety of places? Or are you all from the one?
Georgia and Alabama.
Very good. What about yourself? You're Italy. Oh, Atlanta, yeah.
Used to be
Alabama,
Georgia.
yeah.
Keep it simple. Pretty good. And just over.
Well, I was born in
Right, exactly. Let me give you my life story. We only have an hour, so.
So yes, and you're having a nice time.
We are.
Yeah.
Good, glad to hear it. We'll say I'll be taking you around on the tour. So we have a nice group of about 7 or so it's a nice size. We'll be starting in a few minutes.
Great.
So, just relax.
Okay.
I'll give you a shout in a couple of minutes. We might have 1 or 2 other people.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we got about 5 minutes before it starts, but here's some of this looks like one of their spoons. That's what it looks like. And then they got these sipping glasses, which I would love to get these. I think I might get those on the way out because Brian loves to drink his, I don't even know what they're, old fashions, and those are the kind of glasses you use. And here's like, oh, Titanic Distillers. I love that canvas. Cool shirt. I love the back of it. Blood, sweat, and years. Love that. And the sweatshirt, very nice. They don't have prices on them though, so I don't know. And they have one of those. Oh, we'll have to see how much these are. So premium Irish whiskey, $34.95. Vodka. Then the glasses, the tasting glasses, which I'm sure $22.50 pounds. Rocks glass set. I don't know what that is, but oh, these are the Rocks glass sets. And that is $25. Nice. And there's the vodka. Oh my God. I would love it. Look at that. The Titanic. Obviously Belfast, this is where it was built, so they're all about the Titanic here, which is very, very cool. I love it. Look at that one. That one is the premium whiskey. Oh, and that's the same thing. That's the premium Irish whiskey. That's cool. Let's see how much they are. The premium Irish whiskey is $34.95, and then the collector's edition box is $50, and the companion gift set is $50. So I don't know what that means. Companion gift set, maybe? That's nice. Awesome. Definitely would love that. I would totally get one if we weren't flying.
A new distillery. We're a very new distillery. We opened our doors for the first time on the 1st of May this year, so it's a very exciting time for the company. We'll keep the tour very informal, almost conversational, so please, if you do have any questions on the way around, feel free to ask. I'll certainly do my best to answer them. If I can't, there's other people in the building I'm sure can. But we're going to start by going through just behind the barrel wall, so come on in when you're ready, please. Beautiful, shiny new distillery just ahead of you there. But before we get on and talk about that, I also want to talk about some of the older original parts of the building. So we can still see some of the original apparatus that was installed in 1911 when this building opened for the first time. So a dry dock, we'll get a better view of it in a minute, but a dry dock is essentially a very large enclosed basin. It's flooded with water, and that allows a ship to be floated into the dock. There's then a huge watertight gate. These are the pumps that make this the pump house. So you can maybe see the brand name there, Gwyn's. So Gwyn's are the firm that supplied these pumps. And when these were installed in 1911, they were the most powerful water pumps anywhere in the world at 850 horsepower each. Now you can see this huge pump just below us in the middle. There's also another one just a bit further over to my right, just ahead of you. And if you look down at your feet, there's also one directly below you too. So 3 pumps all together. To lower the pumps down into the pump well, they spend the rest of their working lives. Incredibly, this same crane is also used to install our distillery. So the same crane still works, and the same thing doing our hot still, our mash tun, our washbacks, everything you can see. So it's a lovely piece of continuity. The building's past, but now it's featured. Now, in terms of how the crane works, you can see it's on wheels on either side of the room there. Now these pipes and girders wouldn't have been there at that stage. The crane is able to move freely up and down the length of the building. Now our head distiller is a man called Damien, we'll see him walking around there. And Damien was telling us a good story. During the installation phase, he was telling us a lot of the construction workers were coming up to him and saying, Damien, how does the crane work? Where's the buttons? And I said, I'm really sorry. It's very futuristic looking piece of technology. So if you ever see some older pictures of this building, you'll notice that there used to be 2 huge chimneys at either end of the building. So the original power source of the building was steam in 1911. However, in 1957, electrical power was introduced for the first time, and that's when this piece of equipment was installed. Now, its formal title is the Master Control Panel. However, workers had another name for it. They simply knew it as the piano, due to its piano-like shape, and I can see what it is. And if you look closely, you'll see here the 3 controls for the 1, 2, 3 pumps we saw down in the pump well a little bit earlier. And this was responsible for the Thompson dock, so the one over there on your left there. However, this was also responsible for the Alexandra dock, which is the one just on your right, where HMS Caroline, the battleship from the First World War, is now docked. Now, even the story of constructing the Alexandra dock is an interesting one. So it was being built between 1885 and 1889, and whenever it opened, it was the biggest dock anywhere in the world. However, every 15, 20 years or so, the ships simply just get bigger and bigger, and the harbour commissioners are forced into building bigger docks.
Bigger docks, yeah.
So in 1904, they begin excavating 300,000 cubic yards of sand and silt that makes up this area of reclaimed land known as Queen's Island. However, all this excavation work caused big problems just 1 year into the job. And in 1905, the Alexandra dock next door begins to subside, it starts caving in on itself. So they have to halt everything and spend 2 years patching up the Alexandra dock before they can finally get back to work on the Thompson dock. So they've budgeted 3.5 years for the project. However, it ends up taking twice as long. It takes 7 years to complete. And we can only imagine the huge size of relief when it gets finished, because Harland and Wolff have already begun building Olympic and Titanic, the 2 largest and most expensive ships in the world. And they won't be able to finish either of them until the Thompson dock.
Right.
There's a huge amount of pressure to get that finished. But as I say, the facility was retired in 2001. It was more or less derelict since then. And it's very easy to see how things like the piano, the pumps, the accumulator could very easily have been ripped out and ended up in a scrapyard somewhere. But amazingly, they're all still in their original positions, and it allows us to see the evolution of the building throughout its history.
Very cool.
But, when you're ready, folks, we're going to make our way around the corner. See, we've just had a delivery here, so any volunteers to help Liam? How many do you need, Liam? About half a dozen? Yeah. Give Liam a hand here. So just to explain what I mean by malted barley. So it's barley grain that's been steeped in water for 48 hours. And basically, we're trying to trick the grain into thinking that it's springtime. So it thinks it's springtime and begins to partially germinate. Importantly, it also begins to produce enzymes, and we'll need these later on in the process. They're going to convert the starch in the grain into fermentable sugars, and we will use those to create alcohol later on. The germination process stops when the grain is taken out of the water and it's laid out on a huge malting floor to dry over a period of 4 or 5 days, being turned very regularly. Now, this is one of the big differences. Some malters, when they're drying the grain, they will just use warm air to dry it out. Others will use a turf fire, and that's what gives that lovely peaty, smoky flavour to the whisky, and you'll taste that in ours, and we'll taste some later on. Once it's been dried out, it's then milled into a very coarse flour known as grist. And that jar of grist, so this is exactly what's in these bags that Liam has here. So I'll open it up and pass it along, so you can kind of run it through your fingers and you'll see it's been ground down into this very coarse flour. You can also smell it, and this is just malt, it's not been peated, so it just smells like a very malty, a bit like Horlicks, if anyone has ever had Horlicks, probably malty smell. But pass it along there. You can even try a wee bit as well, it's quite tasty. I'm quite partial to it. I don't get any lunch, that's what keeps me going on the tour. But yeah, you pass it along there and see what you think of that. But as I say, that malting process, it's a huge industrial one. We simply don't have room to do that on this site, so we get our malt done by Rockland Family Malt. They're based down in Dundalk.
It's like a barn.
Loud, and they keep us topped up with all the malt we eat. So you can see they send it up the road.
Horse feed, yeah.
So whenever we're ready to begin making a batch of our whiskey, Damien and Liam here, you can see this little trapdoor, and I'll lift it open here so you can see. Here. So we'll pour 500 kilograms of grist in through the little trapdoor, so 20 of these bags will get poured down in here.
Wow.
You can see just below you there's a huge hopper, and this is known as a grist case. So the grist all just settles in here. There's then these 2 tubes, and you can see in this one the little disc and chain conveyor belts. That's going to start to feed the grist from the hopper round down into the first vessel, which is known as the mash tun. I'm getting peckish, thank you, Clara. Thank you. Don't eat it all on me. That's my lunch. So if you want to move a wee bit further down there, folks, we'll take a look at the... As you can tell from the condensation on the glass here, this is where we add the second ingredient, which is very simply water. And in very basic terms, all we're doing here is making a huge bowl of porridge. So there's a big arm in here, stirring everything around, making sure the water gets in amongst the grist, or the mash as it's now called, and get it mixed up nicely. And the water must be at least 70 degrees Celsius though, because at that temperature those enzymes I mentioned become active, and they're going to start to release the fermentable sugars that we need to create alcohol later. It's under lock and key. So 200 years ago there was a big problem in distilleries in that whiskey could come off the still and could just disappear. Basically, it could disappear very easily. A big hose could be attached and bottles could be filled up without any tax being paid on it. And as you can imagine, the tax authorities weren't too pleased about that. So an act of parliament was declared that all distilleries must have what's called a spirit safe, which would be under lock and key. And the only person to have a key is the distiller and a representative of HMRC, the authorities. And that's still the case today. Damien has a key, and as the HMRC, and they can call at any time to inspect. Now these aren't running at the minute, but basically this is where Damien makes various checks on the spirits after each distillation, just to make sure it's the right ABV, temperature, etc. And you can make different ones too, but it's basically just a checkpoint between distillation.
Cool, thank you.
But if you're ready, you understand a little bit more about the process and you've seen some of the apparatus. But as I say, crucially, we've got this new mixed spirit, but it's not yet whiskey because it's not been matured for at least 3 years. So the spirit came off that still was 80% alcohol by volume. Before we put it inside a 200 litre cask like this, it will be watered down to 63.5% ABV, and that just means we'll have more whiskey to sell at the end. And 80% is very strong for anybody, I don't care what you say. And at 63.5% it means we'll have more product which we can sell. But in terms of what actually happens then during the maturation process, so Damien very kindly separated the cask at sea and staves. And the first thing you'll notice that the inside of the cask has been charred. And basically the inside is charred just to open up grain of the wood. It basically acts like a charcoal filter, and that as the flavours go in and out. Now I'll turn it on its side here, and I'll kind of spin it around so you can all see. But basically you can kind of see a cross section of the maturation here. So during the warmer summer months of the year, the new make spirit begins to expand, so much so it actually starts to soak into the grain of the oak further and further, and it kind of goes maybe 3/4 of the way through the stave there. And the more that soaks into the grain, the more of the flavour it's going to pick up and keep for itself. Then during the cooler winter months of the year, the opposite begins to happen. The spirit will contract and will start to come back out of the grain of the wood into the cask, but pulling all those lovely flavours with it. So you can imagine after a minimum of 3 years in and out, how that's going to change the colour, smell, flavour and taste of the new make spirits. But obviously, be for much, much longer as well, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And the longer it's inside there, the more pronounced those flavours will become. So I'll pass that.
Can you fake the climate on it? By
so basically,
natural air conditioning and what
I'll address that in a wee minute. Clara,
okay.
I want to come on.
I'm sorry.
No, I love questions.
No, I'm in a hurry. I don't want to wait.
No.
Another 3 years.
I will address that just in a wee minute. But before we come on to that,
Does it smell good?
I also want to
I
talk
don't know.
about the different flavours that the different casks will give. So, if you look at this barrel here, you can see this is a stamp that says Wild Turkey Distilling Company Bourbon Whiskey. And you'll also see barrels down below that have stamps for Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, Maker's Mark, all these huge bourbon producers in America. And the reason you'll find so many ex-bourbon casks in Scottish and Irish distilleries is that legally for bourbon to be bourbon, it must be matured inside a virgin oak cask. So that cask cannot have held any other liquids previously. So once the bourbon manufacturers use that one time, it's done. It's taken up room in their warehouse, so they want to get rid of it. Whereas Scottish and Irish distillers, we actively need casks that have held other liquids like bourbon, and we're going to use these casks to give our new make spirit lots of lovely colour and lovely flavour. So it's the perfect supply chain in many respects, although they still charge $180 for the cask, but there you go. Now, American oak is very rich in a compound known as vanillin, and as the name suggests, that's where you get lots of lovely vanilla flavours coming from an ex-bourbon cask like this one. You also get lovely sweet notes like honey and caramel you would associate with the drink of bourbon itself, obviously. Ex-sherry casks are also very popular as well. They'll give a much darker colour to the new make spirits and more of a dry fruit flavour as well. But any type of cask can be used as long as it's wooden. Oak has the best grain. It's soft enough to let the spirit in, not too soft it goes all the way through, and a harder wood wouldn't let the spirit in enough. So oak's the perfect grain, and as long as it's being done in Ireland, it's Irish whiskey at the end. So ex-rum, ex-port, ex-stout, ex-red wine, whatever you fancy, you can quite experimental with it.
Is that not a concern though, that the flavor of yours will be different because of what was in it previously?
But if you were wanting to maybe do a special batch, you could say, oh, we're going to use an ex-stout cask for this one, more like an ex-stout finish. And really, Irish whiskey's becoming, it was kind of in a boom period in the 1880s. We're kind of seeing the next wave, this is the next boom, and people are always looking for slightly different angles and things to go on. So say we're in our infancy, we only got our first new make spirits off our spirit still just over a month ago. So we're kind of only starting out, but as we go down the line, it's about that variety and just different tastes that appeal to different people.
Who gets the barrels after you've used them?
So it's a good question, Cara. So
I know I have barrel-aged coffee. Okay?
Oh wow, well,
So
one of these ones has a stamp on it. What's it on? This one. Where is it? B3 it says. And this is. Thank you. It's a good job your hair's on, isn't it? Here we are. Here, I'll spin it around so you can see. So you can see there.
Oh yeah, B3 down there.
B3 has a stamp here. So basically, it can take up to maybe 80 or 90 years for a tree to grow big enough before you cut it down to make a barrel. So you want to make sure you're getting a good long life out of the barrel. So every time a barrel is used and a new liquid is put in, it gets a stamp. B1, B2, B3, B4. So this is B3, so this has had 3 uses. Now, the best way I can explain it to you, it's a bit like making a cup of tea. Everything in Ireland comes back to tea. So the first time you use a tea bag, you're going to get the most flavour from that tea bag.
Right.
Use that same tea bag second time, you'll still get some flavour, but it's a bit
Weaker,
Third
yeah.
time, weaker still. And fourth time, it's not really doing very much at all. It's exactly the same with this. The first time you use it, strongest flavour, weaker and weaker, but you might really want a little hint of bourbon flavour in this, so you would maybe want the B3 barrel, or if you want it stronger, you would use a B1. But after about 4 uses, the barrel can be recharred, be repurposed, or it might just be time to say goodbye. Closer, just so you can see some of the detail. So these are two quite famous pictures in Belfast. So this one is taken in 1911, and this is the Queen's Road. So this is the road you've walked along to visit us this afternoon. At the distillery.
Okay.
Now, 1911 in the picture, but there's still quite a few things visible in 2023. So first of all, some of you may recognise this little white ship, the SS Pneumatic. So it's right down at the bottom of the Queen's Road in the much smaller Hamilton graving dock. So Pneumatic's in there in 1911, having her propellers fitted. And 1 year later, she'll be used at the port of Cherbourg in France as a tender ship for Titanic. So Titanic and her sisters are so large, unfortunately, they just don't fit in many ports in the world. So they must sit further off the shore, and smaller vessels will then taxi passengers back and forth to her. So Pneumatic performs that role for the first and second class passengers in Cherbourg. And what blows my mind is, even though it's only about a 30-minute journey from Cherbourg out to Titanic, they still have different ships for different classes of passenger. So third class passengers have to go on a separate ship as well. So the class system all pervasive back then. You may also recognise this building too, this red brick building. It's now part of the Titanic Hotel. Back then this was the head office of Harland and Wolff Shipyard. So people like Lord Perry, the chairman of the company, Thomas Andrews, the chief designer, have been based inside there. Titanic Belfast, the big Titanic museum, I'm sure some of you will have been there, is just where these two sheds are in the picture. So it just sits about here now. In the background, you'll notice this huge piece of scaffolding, and this is known as the Arrow Gantry. Now, these Olympic class liners were so big, not only did they have to build a new dry dock, they also had to build a new gantry to fit their size. So this is called the Arrow Gantry. It's named after its designer, a Scotsman called Sir William Arrow. He'd already designed Tower Bridge in London and the Forth and Tay Bridges in Scotland. But its appearance is very simple. It's 3 rows of 11 columns of steel, 33 altogether, and that means there's room for 2 ships to be built side by side each other under this huge steel framework. And sitting on slipway number 3, we've got the empty hull of Titanic. So it's taken 2 years, 2 months to get this far. They've laid her keel, attached the ribs, and 3 million rivets have been hammered in to hold the hull together. And very soon she'll slip down into the water for the very first time. I think my favourite detail in the picture though is probably the workers. So in 1911 there's around 15,000 employees working at Harland and Wolff. This picture was taken just after 5:30 when everyone was leaving for the day for home, although they'll have been there since 6:30 that morning, so I'm sure they're very glad to be going home for the day. You'll notice that virtually everybody in the picture is wearing a flat cap of some description, or a duncher, as the shipyard workers called those. However, there are a few exceptions. You can maybe see this man here. You can make him out, he's wearing a boater hat. So he's got the brim going all the way around. And this marks him out as one of the management. He's basically one of the bosses. And their nickname within the shipyard was the Hat, because they wore this different style of hat. So you might have heard someone say, "Put that away, the hat's coming." The Hat was the supervisor. You can see the Hat is carrying some plans. He's got them rolled up in his hand here. And from the direction he's walking, I would imagine he's for head office or the drawing offices that are there as well. There's also this man here with his peaked cap on, and he's got a busy time ahead of him because he's the tram conductor. And if you look, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly more trams all packed to the rafters with shipyard workers. So plenty of fares to check, or you might just look the other way and wave them on through. And finally you can see, where's he gone, some of the boys. So you could start work as an apprentice in 1911, aged 14. So imagine as a 14-year-old coming into Harland and Wolff at 6:30 in the morning to start your apprenticeship. How exciting it might have been in some respects, but I'm sure it got very old very quickly as the dangers and the reality of working in the shipyard kicked in. But I say, when you're heading back down this road this afternoon, you can try and view it through different eyes. I also very briefly just want to show you this picture too. Sorry, Brian. Everyone see. Because you've seen some of the workings of the pump house, I think it's important you see the dock in action. So this is the very first time that the Thompson dock was used. It's early April 1911, and the Olympic, the largest ship in the world, has been floated into the dock. The caisson gate has been slid over, and the pumps that we saw inside have drained 23 million gallons of water. Olympic is now resting on these key blocks down at the bottom, and she's been propped up with bits of timber to keep her upright. The workers have fitted 3 propellers and given a coating of paint to the underside of the hull, and very soon she'll be heading off to Southampton, where her crew will sign on, the provisions will be loaded, and finally the first passengers will arrive. But I would encourage you after the tour, folks, to go over to the edge of the dock and take a look down. This photo is great, but it doesn't do justice just to illustrate how big it is. And also, I was reading, whenever the dock was drained of water, naturally enough, huge amounts of fish would be trapped inside. So there was fish for the workers' tea that night if they wanted it. I was also reading as well that huge amounts of sewage were also pumped into the lagons, so some of those puddles they're standing in on a warm day, the smell might put you off your fish for your tea. But ladies and gents, you've listened to me talk long enough now about both whiskey, Belfast and shipbuilding. I think it's only fair you're given some alcohol as compensation for that. So when you're ready, if you want to come on around and grab a seat, we'll brilliant for nosing the whiskey. So if you want to bring it up towards your nose, not too close, but just close enough.
It smells so good.
Maybe take 2 or 3. See if you can maybe pick out any of the aromas we talked about there in the blend. I'll give you a second or two just to think about that. So is anyone able to say what some of the flavours they can smell there? Or it's also the peat. Peat, yeah, I would agree with you, Ray. For me, the peat. A smoky flavour coming through. A lot of people are straight in and they say they smell like a sweetness, like a honey or a vanilla. Yeah, like everyone's palate is slightly different. So normally with a full house up here, about 15 people, and it generally ends up being a 3-way split between kind of peat, honey, vanilla, and the remainder kind of that sort of Christmassy cake, kind of the sort of sherry element. Now it's only 3% blend, so it's quite hard to pick that out, I think. For me, peat and definitely vanilla. There's a 4th category of person who says all they can smell is alcohol, and you're not wrong, there is alcohol in this if you're open, that's what you're smelling.
Yeah, that's what I smell.
But everyone's palate is slightly different. But once you've nosed the whiskey a few times, folks, feel free to dive in and taste, so enjoy.
That's fine.
Just give you a little second there.
Smoky.
Yeah, very smoky.
Yeah.
So everyone's tried some, okay? So down here, sort of
Smoky.
smokiness. Now, would you agree with me that the smokiness is more on the finish? So it's after you've kind of swallowed, at the back of your throat, that kind of nice smoky lingers. It's very, very mildly peated whiskey. If any of you have tried whiskey from Islay, like Lagavulin or Talisker or Lefroy, that's very peated, so you could probably smell the peat from about here.
So this is that dry dock. Oh look, somebody's walking down there.
Go down the steps over there.
Oh wow. Yeah, this is that dry dock where they brought in that ship. Wow. That's crazy. It's huge. That's what she said.
Ryan. What else you want?
Nice.
Oh.
With the wasp. Actually,
Yeah, right.
I think that might be a wasp. They've been annoying me all day.
Yeah, I'll do the vodka and like strawberry.
Right. One
Yeah.
Oh no, you're making them all mad.
So they're making
Get
it
out.
made.
So, one.
No.
Toasted. Toasties. Toast. Raymond, you're missing a toasty.
Listen to Cheerios.
Sorry guys, let me just give you the straws as well.
Oh, straws?
And I have 2 vodkas.
Yeah, me.
That one, I need a whiff of that one.
Ooh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The straw, I know.
Oh, I need to give you.
Oh my God, that is so good.
No straw for me, thank you.
I'm never leaving. Can I have 2 extra straws?
Oh my God.
I can afford it.
Thank you. I will give. See, my friend. I'm good. You're gonna want to take one home. It's soggy. It's soggy.
Pictures and cherries.
Well, I can't do a picture.
Turn these around for your logo.
Okay, I didn't do a
Y'all
picture.
can scoot by. You're good.
I'm not doing a picture. Cheers. Excellent. I mean, this is delicious. Thank you so much for all your help. I appreciate it. So right behind me is the building that we were in, which was a pump house basically back in the day, which is so cool. This is where the distillery is at. But if you just like sit back and picture and imagine, the Titanic was built here and they pushed it through here when it set out on its maiden voyage. It didn't leave here for the maiden voyage. It was shipped here. It was sent to, I believe, somebody said Cork, Ireland. I'm gonna look that up really quick. Hold on, so I can be sure. Okay, so the RMS Titanic, April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England to New York. So although it was made here, and it did make its first like voyage from here to Southampton, England, but just imagine, just picturing it is just so cool to imagine or picture. And not only that, woo, I said earlier that the front of that building, the Titanic building, the museum and stuff, is shaped like the Titanic. So the front of it is like shaped like the front of it, and the sides are the big. It's just amazing to me, and it just, the picture that he showed upstairs too just kind of puts into perspective the busyness, the hustle, the workers, and all that stuff that they worked on so hard out here to get that built, and then the poor thing sank. How crazy. Built by Irishmen and destroyed by Americans, right? How's that go? I'm gonna ask Ray how that phrase goes. I'll ask him in a minute and he'll tell you.